Imagine this. It's a quiet weekend, the office is empty, and a massive corporate cyber breach is going down. But here's the catch. There is no hacker in a hoodie sitting in a dark basement furiously typing at a terminal. No, this entire break-in is being executed end-to-end by a relentless, autonomous AI agent. It sounds straight out of a sci-fi movie, right? But it literally just became our reality. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving deep into a fascinating security breach at Hugging Face, which is basically the cornerstone of the global AI community. We're going to unpack exactly how they were infiltrated by a machine swarm and the seriously surprising way they had to fight back. To really wrap our heads around what we're dealing with here, we need to completely shift how we think about hackers. Chris Bowe, the field CTO over at Zero Networks, hit the nail on the head when describing this new breed of attacker. He said to think about a burglar that never gets tired, never needs to sleep, and instead of jiggling one door handle at a time, it tries 1,000 of them all at once. That's the mental model you need for this explainer. We aren't talking about a human hitting keystrokes. This was an automated swarm of processes, just hammering away nonstop. Guys, we are officially entering an era where the attacker doesn't even have a pulse. And to understand the stakes, just look at the target. Hugging Face isn't some run-of-the-mill platform. It's the single biggest repository of open AI models on the planet. They host north of 45,000 models from practically every major AI provider you can name. We're talking about core infrastructure used by over 50,000 organizations every single day. If a platform like this gets fully compromised, the blast radius would be absolutely catastrophic. Now, thankfully, there was zero evidence of tampering with the public user-facing models, but the way this attacker slipped inside this massive vault, it's incredibly clever. Let's break down exactly how they did it. The attack targeted the platform's softest underbelly, which is the data processing pipeline. Over a weekend, the attacker uploaded a malicious dataset. Now, you might be wondering, wait a second, isn't a dataset just passive data? How does a file just execute something? Well, Hugging Face's pipeline doesn't just sit there and store bytes. Datasets can actually carry loading scripts that run the moment they're ingested. The attacker basically engineered a payload, dressed it up to look like harmless data, and used it to exploit what's called a template injection flaw. Basically, they tricked the system into running malicious instructions instead of just reading text. The literal second the pipeline touched it, this AI agent had code running on a worker, it immediately escalated to node-level access, and boom, it started harvesting cloud credentials. But the sheer machine speed behavior of this intrusion is what makes it so wild. Because this was an autonomous framework, it didn't just sit in one place waiting to be caught. It executed thousands of individual actions across a swarm of short-lived sandboxes. The command and control server was constantly hopping around. It would spin up a disposable sandbox, execute a quick task, tear itself down, and reshuffle its location. It's like a high-speed digital shell game. This self-migrating behavior makes tracing the attacker's movements insanely difficult for human responders, especially over a quiet weekend when nobody's staring at the security dashboards. So how do you catch a machine? Well, you have to use machines. Hugging Face's anomaly detection actually flagged the compromise using LLM-based triage to cut through all the daily alert noise. But to truly understand what this swarm had just done, they pointed their own LLM-driven analysis agents directly at the attacker's action log. And that log was massive. It contained over 17,000 recorded events. Their AI agents went to work, reconstructed the timeline, pulled out indicators of compromise, and mapped every single credential the attacker touched. They separated the real impact from the decoy noise in a matter of hours instead of days. They had to match machine speed with machine speed. Okay, but here is the massive ironic twist of this whole event. When the security team first tried to analyze those 17,000 events, they instinctively reached for the big commercial frontier AI models. Makes sense, right? But to analyze a cyber attack, you have to feed the model real exploit payloads in live malicious code. And guess what? The commercial AI provider's safety guardrails flat out blocked every single request. Why? Because these guardrails can't tell the difference between a good guy analyzing an attack and a bad guy running one. So think about this. The attacker, using an unrestricted model, had zero usage limits and infinite speed. Meanwhile, the defenders got locked out by their own commercial safety tools. The good guys literally hit a wall. So locked out and needing answers fast, Hugging Face made a pretty brilliant pivot. They completely abandoned the commercial APIs and spun up GLM 5.2. That's an open-weight model developed by the Chinese firm Z.AI, and they hosted it entirely on their own local infrastructure. This move solved two massive problems instantly. First, this open-weight model didn't have those strict usage guardrails, so it just did the forensic work without complaining. Second, and this is absolutely vital for any security team, because they ran it on their own hardware, no live attacker data or compromised internal credentials ever left their network. They completely avoided shipping highly sensitive breach data out to a third-party API. With the AI analysis finally complete, Hugging Face moved in decisively to wipe out the threat. And they didn't just patch a hole here. They completely rebuilt the compromised nodes from scratch to make sure the attacker's foothold was totally destroyed. They closed down the dataset execution paths, revoked and rotated all the affected credentials, and deployed much stricter admission controls. And honestly, the most important fix? To solve that weekend blind spot, they completely revamped their alerting system. Now, if a high-severity signal trips, it pages a human responder within minutes, anytime, any day. That ensures an autonomous agent can't just quietly operate while the security team is at home sleeping. Now, the scary truth here is that this Hugging Face incident isn't just an isolated freak event. It perfectly mirrors a terrifying pattern we're seeing all across the industry. Just recently, security researchers broke down a case where a jailbroken Google Gemini model did 90% of the work in a cyber attack. Check out this timeline. An attacker leveraged the AI to spin up a brand new, fully functional command and control server in just 6 minutes. 6 minutes! We've also just recently seen reports of the first ever end-to-end agentic ransomware infection, driven entirely by an LLM. Agentic attacks aren't some theoretical future problem anymore. They are our current reality. And all of this brings us to a pretty chilling forecast. The security intel lead over at Palo Alto Networks has explicitly stated that autonomous AI agents will be the biggest insider threat by the year 2026. This fundamentally flips the economics of cyber warfare. Having autonomous, AI-driven offensive tooling vastly drops the cost of running broad, patient, and highly complex multi-stage campaigns. It runs at machine speed the entire way through. Defending a modern platform today means you literally have to put AI on defense just to keep pace with the AI on offense. We have to start treating AI models and data pipelines as a first-class attack surface. There is a very real arms race forming right in front of us. And the uncomfortable reality we face today is that the side playing by the rules is the one getting slowed down by its own safety tools. So I leave you with this. When attackers have absolutely no speed limit, how do defenders actually win? I really want to know what you think about this wild shift in cybersecurity, so let's get a conversation going. Thank you so much for exploring this incredible story with me today. If you found this explainer valuable, please leave a like, drop a comment with your thoughts on how we can defend against these AI agents, and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss our future deep dives. Thank you.